Hi everybody, I'm Andrew Roberts from the Great Property Meet, and I'm here with Iain from Newman Property Experts, one of our sponsors. And Iain is the lettings manager, and we've just been chatting Brexit. What if, what next, what when? So, the property market, let's share this with the wider audience. Brexit, it's had an impact on the market this year, and you're property experts in the Warwickshire marketplace. How has it been affecting Warwickshire from Newman's perspective?
No problem. What we found earlier on in the year, at the start of the year, leading up to the March, are we going to leave, we're not going to leave, the first quarter of this year really kind of tightened up a little bit, and I don't think that was just on the housing market, both sales and lettings. I think that was, anything that was excess, so cars, holidays, that kind of thing, everything just tightened up a little bit, and everybody was waiting, and then when obviously we got the extension on March, I think the general public as a whole just gone, okay, business as usual, and they've just carried on.
Yeah.
And so, the second quarter and the start of the third quarter of this year has been business as normal, so it picked up, and then obviously now as we're getting closer to, the 31st of October, again we're kind of experiencing that a little bit. Obviously one of the main tour operators has gone bust, so
Pizza Express.
Yeah.
Who dares blink at the moment?
Yeah. So that's so to answer your question, that's what we've seen so far as a result of how it's affected the marketplace.
So everybody, what we're saying is, the market traded normally, then as it got closer to March, everybody started to sit on their hands and go, well, I'm going to think what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Everybody took a big sigh afterwards, and the market started to trade again.
Mm-hmm.
And now what you're observing is, we don't blink because 31st of October is upon us, and we don't know what's going to happen. So from your perspective, and I appreciate this is your perspective, where do you think the market's going to go, both locally and nationally? And how do you think that will affect the opportunities, but also potentially bring threats into the market?
I'm coming at it from a lettings perspective now, being that that's my specialist area. I would say that as the year has gone on, we have also experienced landlords exiting the market. Due to not just Brexit, but a lot of external factors, for things that the government have implemented, a lot more regulated
legislation.
Yeah. So tax on this, tax on that, tax on it, just tax on everything. So from that side of things, there are going to be more landlords that are going to be exiting the market. So in answer to what you're saying in terms of opportunities for either investors that are either in the market at the moment or looking to get into it for the first time, there are going to be opportunities there, but you must do your research first to find out what the tax implications are of buying a second home, etc., etc. In terms of where do I think it's going to go in the long term, I've experienced this year actually a few, not an awful lot, but a few Eastern European tenants that have gone, don't know what's going to happen, so we're just going to go home. So they're going to go home. Now, after the research that I've done from the information that you can gather from the government website states that actually going forward post-Brexit, whether it be now in October or whenever that might be, is that they're basically going to have a time frame to basically apply for what we call pre-settled and settled status. So it comes across a bit like international driving permits. So if you're going to America, you fill out a 5-minute online form, and then you get your international driving permit. So what happens, what the government basically are saying is that if you have got an EU passport and you're currently living in the UK and have been here for 5 years or less, then you fill out an online form, takes 2 minutes, and then you will be granted what they call a pre-settled status, which means that gives you the right to remain in the UK as an EU citizen. And then once you hit 5 years or more, you then reapply, and then they will grant you a settled status. So essentially what I'm saying to you, Andrew, is it doesn't affect it. It just for the people that are coming into the country or people that are currently in the country from the EU.
Those who are from the EU already in the country, effectively from a lettings perspective, they can keep letting.
To worry about.
There's nothing to worry about, which is a really positive news because landlords who might have had working demographic of Eastern European or European don't have to worry that the tenants are all going to disappear because there's a gateway for them to stay. Fantastic. So that's a positive. Have we got some more good news, Ian?
Well, I just think in terms of, like any major political change within the country, there's always going to be that little bit of uncertainty, and I think ultimately, going back to your point of what's going to happen in the long term, it's going to settle itself down, it's going to sort itself out, and everything will be fine. So I don't think there's any major concerns. I think yes, there will be, as I've said before, landlords that are going to exit the market because they just think they've had enough. They've had enough of being taxed, because obviously they get taxed when they buy it, they get taxed on the rent, they get taxed when they sell it. So from a government's perspective, sooner to sell it to an investor that's going to pay all that tax, then first time buyer who comes along pays the stamp duty, and that's
and they get nothing.
So but that's just me being selfish, having working in the lettings industry. So
it's a very valid point though that I feel is often overlooked by a lot of shall we say lobbying organisations, RLA, NLA or NRLA as it might become, where landlords are having a hard time and government are picking on landlords, but they actually might be cutting off the nose despite the face as a government, because they get paid annually on a regular basis from investors. Therefore you need a healthy marketplace, and with the latest stat that I read was 52% of people rent opposed to own. Therefore you actually need landlords to balance that marketplace. So you can't price them out.
No.
But as landlords, that gives opportunity. So if you're looking to come into the marketplace, there are people exiting, potentially with properties already set up, compliant with legislation, with smoke alarms, already having gone through various tests that landlords need to do, and improved EPC standards that you don't get on residential homes. So that's a positive for landlords coming into the marketplace. What do you see there being a slowing of activity immediately post any Brexit, whenever that might be, in October, next year, next month, whenever that could be,
it all depends.
Because of the supply of finance or uncertainty, or do you see that as leading to more opportunities for those who are fleet of foot?
It's definitely going to lead to more opportunities, but it all depends on what happens to the house prices post Brexit. Is the main thing.
So if prices fall, do you think that's an investor's market to buy, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a position where you've got the liquid cash there to be able to enter the market, and somebody wants to get out before they lose too much money on it, then yes, of course. But as to what's going to happen to the house prices post Brexit, I couldn't say. I would like to think that they won't drop too much, but who knows? That to me is an unknown quantity at this stage. But but going back to your point of landlords or investors that are looking to get into the market, I have landlords that come to me, on a monthly basis. I call it natural wastage of landlords that want to just offload their portfolio or their book. Landlords sell 2 or 3 properties at a time that have already got sitting tenants in there. That is certainly something that if anybody is in a position to go, that they should definitely come and speak to me if they're looking to invest in this sort of Warwickshire area. I cover particularly the rugby side of things, but which is obviously great, serviceable. London, Euston, so rents are on the up.
So there's a top tip. If you're not already connected to Iain Havell on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Newman's Property Experts, I suggest you do so now, because Iain has deals. He has people selling properties right now, and that's a hot lead and a hot tip from here is contact Iain fast before they sell, or before they all sell. It's been a pleasure having a chat with you today, Iain. I look forward to our next chat. And if you want to follow more, there's Newman's Property Experts website just here, or come and meet Iain and the team at the Great Property Meet. We meet on the third Monday of every month, and we're at the Dunchurch Park Hotel. Thank you, Iain.
Thank you.